Yes, my dear friends, today we would be entering into chapter 1, that is preliminary of the CGST Act. Earlier we discussed about section 1 and today we will be discussing about section 2 of the CGST Act. This particular sections contains about 120 subsections. Keeping in view the length of the section, we would be restricting ourselves to some limited definitions being given under this particular section. Let us at the outset make a statement that without the definitions, no law is complete. And whenever we have been interacting with various terms which are being defined here, unless we are aware of the definition of those terms, our knowledge about the law remains incomplete. So let us straight away go with some important definitions like subsection 2 talks about address of delivery, means the address of the recipient of goods or services or both indicated on the tax invoice issued by a registered person for delivery of such goods or services or both. Section 2, subsection 3, address on record means the address of the recipient as available in the records of the supplier. Subsection 4, adjudicating authority means any authority appointed or authorized to pass any order or decision under this act, but does not include the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Custom, the Revisional Authority, the Authority for Advance Ruling, the Appellate Authority for Advance Ruling, the National Authority for Advance Ruling, the Appellate Authority, the Appellate Tribunal, and the authority referred to in subsection 2 of section 171. So there is a lot of exclusions what we talk about the adjudicating authority. So we would be knowing the significance of this exclusion while we will travel into the subsequent sections of the law. Then section 2 subsection 5 defines agent means a person including a factor, broker, commission agent, aditya, del creditor agent, an auctioneer or any other mercantile agent by whatever name called, who carries on the business of supply or receipt of goods or services or both on behalf of another. Subsection 6 defines aggregate turnover, means the aggregate value of all taxable supplies, excluding the value of inward supplies on which tax is payable by a person on reverse charge basis, exempt supplies, export of goods or services or both, and interstate supplies of persons having the same permanent account number, so to be computed on all India basis, but excludes central tax, state tax, union territory tax, integrity tax, and cess. Then let us see what is the definition of agriculturist as contained under subsection 7 of section 2, means an individual or a HUF who undertakes cultivation of land, A, by own labor, or B, the labor of family, or C, by servants on wages payable in cash or kind or by hired labor under personal supervision or the personal supervision of any member of the family. Then let us move to subsection 11 of section 2. It defines assessment. Assessment means determination of tax liability under this act and includes self-assessment, reassessment, provisional assessment, summary assessment, and best judgment assessment. Now let us move to subsection 13. It defines the term audit. Audit means the examination of records, returns, and other documents maintained or furnished by the registered person under this act or the rules made thereunder or under any other law for the time being in force to verify the correctness of turnover declared, tax is paid, refund claimed, and input tax credit availed, and to assess his compliance with the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder. Then let us move to the definition of business as contained under subsection 17 of section 2. Business is defined as an inclusive definition. Like business includes a any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, adventure, wager, or any other similar activity, whether or not it is for a pecuniary benefit. B. Any activity or transactions in connection with or incidental or ancillary to subclause A. Clause C. Any activity or transaction in the nature of subclause A, whether or not there is volume, frequency, continuity, or regularity of such transaction. Clause D. Supply or acquisition of goods, including capital goods and services, in connection with commencement or closure of business. E. Provision by a club, association, society, or any such body for a subscription or any other consideration of the facilities or benefits to its members. F. Admission for a consideration of persons to any premises. G. Services supplied by a person as the holder of an office which has been accepted by him in the course or furtherance of his trade, profession, or vocation. H. Activities of a race club, including by way of totalisator or a license to bookmaker or activities of a licensed bookmaker in such club. And I. Any activity or transaction undertaken by the central government, a state government, or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities. Now, the next definition is subsection 19, which defines capital goods. Means goods, the value of which is capitalized in the books of accounts of the person claiming the input tax credit, and which are used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. Subsection 20 defines casual taxable person means a person who occasionally undertakes transactions involving supply of goods or services in the course or furtherance of business, whether as principal, agent, or any other capacity, in a state or UT where he has no fixed place of business. Then let us talk about subsection 30, which defines composite supply means a supply made by a taxable person to a recipient consisting of two or more taxable supplies of goods or services or any combination thereof which are naturally bundled and supplied in conjunction with each other in the ordinary course of business, one of which is a principal supply. There is an example also given into the law that where goods are packed and transported with insurance, the supply of goods, packing material, transport, and insurance is a composite supply, and supply of goods is a principal supply. Then let us move to subsection 31, which defines about consideration. So this subsection 31 defines consideration in an inclusive manner. Consideration in relation to supply of goods or services or both includes a. Any payment made or to be made, whether in money or otherwise, in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of the supply of goods or services, whether by himself or by any other person, but shall not include any subsidy given by the central government or a state government. Clause B. The monetary value of any act or forbearance in respect of, in response to, or for the inducement of the supply of goods or services or both, whether by the recipient or by any other person, but shall not include any subsidy given by the central government or a state government. It has a proviso also, it says that provided that a deposit given in respect of the supply of goods or services shall not be considered as payment made for such supply unless the supplier applies such deposit as consideration for the said supply. Then there is a definition of continuous supply of goods as given under subsection 32. Continuous supply of goods means a supply of goods which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously or on recurrent basis under a contract, whether or not by means of a wire, cable, pipeline, or other conduit, and for which the supplier invoices the recipient on a regular or periodic basis and includes supply of such goods as the government may, subject to such conditions as it may by notification specify. Then subsection 33 talks about the continuous supply of services means a supply of services which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously or on recurrent basis under a contract for a period exceeding 3 months with periodic payment obligations and include supply of such services as the government may, subject to such conditions as it may by notification specify. Then we move to subsection 47, which defines exempt supply means supply of any goods or services or both which attracts nil rate of tax or which may be wholly exempt from tax under subsection 11 or under section 6 of the integrated IGST Act and includes non-taxable supply also. Subsection 48 talks about existing law, means any law, notification, order, rule, or regulation relating to levy and collection of duty or tax on goods or services passed or made before the commencement of this act by parliament or any authority or person having the power to make such law, notification, order, rule, or regulations. Then subsection 49 defines family means clause 1 the spouse and children of the person, and 2 the parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters of the person if they are wholly or mainly dependent on the said person. Now subsection 50 defines fixed establishment means a place other than the registered place of business which is characterized by a sufficient degree of permanence and suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources to supply services or to receive and use services for its own needs. Subsection 52 defines goods means every kind of movable property other than money and securities but includes actionable claim, growing crops, grass, and other things attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under a contract of supply. Then even India is being defined under section 2 under subsection 56. It says India means the territory of India as referred to in Article 1 of the Constitution, its territorial waters, seabed, and subsoil underlying such waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone, or any other maritime zone as referred to in the territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone, and other maritime zones Act 1976, and the airspace above its territory and territorial waters. Then subsection 61 defines input service distributor means an office of the supplier of goods or services which receives tax invoices towards the receipt of input services, including invoices in respect of services liable to tax under Section 9(4) and 9(3), for or on behalf of distinct persons referred to in Section 25, and liable to distribute the input tax credit in respect of such invoices in the manner provided in Section 20. Now, input tax is also defined in subsection 62. Input tax in relation to registered person means the central tax, state tax, integrity tax, UT tax charged on any supply of goods or services made to him, and includes the integrated goods and service tax, that is IGST Act, charged on import of goods. B. The tax payable under the provisions of subsection 3 and 4 of section 9. The tax payable under the provisions of subsection 3 and 4 of section 5. The tax payable under the provisions of subsection 3 and 4 of 9 of the respective state goods and services tax. The tax payable under the provisions of subsection 3 and 4 of section 7 of the UT Act. Input tax credit means the credit of input tax. So one is subsection 62, which defines input tax, and then there is subsection 63, which defines input tax credit. Now let us move to subsection 68. It defines job work means any treatment or process undertaken by a person on goods belonging to another registered person, and the expression job worker shall be construed accordingly. Then subsection 69 defines local authority means a panchayat, a municipality, a municipal committee, a Jila Parishad, a district board, a cantonment board, a regional council or district council, a development board constituted, a regional council constituted. All these terms are being defined under various articles of the Constitution, etc. Then subsection 70 talks about location of the recipient of services means it contains 4 clauses. A, where a supply is received at a place of business for which the registration has been obtained, the location of such place of business. Where a supply is received at a place other than the place of business for which registration has been obtained, a fixed establishment elsewhere, the location of such fixed establishment. Where a supply is received at more than one establishment, whether the place of business or fixed establishment, the location of the establishment most directly concerned with the receipt of the supply. And in the absence of such places, the location of the usual place of residence of the recipient. Now, subsection 71 defines about the location of the supplier of services means it also contains 4 clauses. A says, where a supply is made from a place of business for which the registration has been obtained, the location of such place of business. Clause B says, where a supply is made from a place other than the place of business for which registration has been obtained, a fixed establishment elsewhere, the location of such fixed establishment. C, where a supply is made from more than one establishment, whether the place of business or fixed establishment, the location of the establishment most directly concerned with the provisions of the supply. Then, in the absence of such supply, such places, the location of the usual place of residence of the supplier. Now, subsection 72 defines manufacturer. Manufacture means processing of raw material or inputs in any manner that results in emergence of a new product having a distinct name, character, and use, and the term manufacturer shall construed accordingly. Market value defined under subsection 73. Now, market value shall mean the full amount which a recipient of a supply is required to pay in order to obtain goods or services of like kind and quality at or about the same time and at the same commercial level where the recipient and the supplier are not related. Then there is a definition of mixed supply along with an example. Mixed supply means two or more individual supplies of goods or services or any combination thereof made in conjunction with each other by a taxable person for a single price, where such supply does not constitute a composite supply. A supply of a package consisting of canned foods, sweets, chocolates, cakes, dry fruits, aerated drinks, and fruit juices, when supplied for a single price, is a mixed supply. Each of these items can be supplied separately and is not dependent on each any other. It shall not be a mixed supply if there is items are supplied separately. Then even money is being defined under section 2. Subsection 75 says money means the Indian legal tender or any foreign currency, check, promissory note, bill of exchange, letter of credit, draft, pay order, traveler check, money order, postal, or electronic remittance, or any other instrument recognized by the RBI when used as a consideration to settle an obligation or exchange with Indian legal tender of another denomination, but shall not include any currency that is held for its numismatic value. Numismatic value. Subsection 77 says non-resident taxable person means any person who occasionally undertakes transactions involving supply of goods or services, whether as principal or agent or in any other capacity, but who has no fixed place of business or residence in India. Then section 80 capital A defines online gaming means offering of a game on the internet or an electronic network and includes online money gaming. Subsection 80B defines online money gaming means online gaming in which players pay or deposit money or money's worth, including virtual digital assets, in the expectation of winning money or money's worth, including virtual digital assets in any event including game, scheme, competition, or any other activity or process, whether or not its outcome or performance is based on skill, chance, or both, and whether the same is permissible or otherwise under any other law for the time being in force. Subsection 82 talks about output tax. In relation to a taxable person means the tax chargeable under this act on taxable supply of goods or services made by him or by his agent, but excludes tax payable by him on reverse charge basis. Then subsection 83 defines outward supply in relation to a taxable person means supply of goods or services whether by sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, or disposal, or any other mode made or agreed to be made by such person in the course or furtherance of business. Subsection 84 defines person. It includes an individual, HUF, company, firm, limited liability, partnership, association of persons, body of individuals, any corporation, anybody corporation incorporated by or under the law of country outside India, a cooperative society, local authority, central government, state government, society, trust, artificial judicial person. Subsection 85 defines place of business includes. Place of business includes in three clauses. Clause A says a place from where the business is ordinarily carried on and includes a warehouse, a godown, or any other place where a taxable person stores his goods, supplies, or receives goods or services. B. A place where a taxable person maintains his books of account. C. A place where a taxable person is engaged in business through an agent. Then subsection 90 talks about what is principal supply. For the purposes of composite supply, we should know what is principal supply. Means the supply of goods or services which constitutes the predominant element of a composite supply and to which the other supply forming part of that composite supply is ancillary. Section 91, subsection 91 defines proper officer. In relation to any function to be performed under this act means the commissioner or the officer of the central tax who is assigned such function by the commissioner in the board. When we will talk about the jurisdiction, we will let you know the significance of this definition. Subsection 93 defines recipient of goods or services, means it contains three clauses. Where a consideration is payable for the supply of goods or services or both, the person who is liable to pay that consideration. Where no consideration is payable for the supply of goods, the person to whom the goods are delivered or made available, or to whom possession or use of the goods is given or made available. And C, where no consideration is payable for the supply of a service, the person to whom the service is rendered. And any reference to a person to whom a supply is made shall be construed as a reference to the recipient of the supply and shall include an agent acting as such on behalf of the recipient in relation to the goods or services supplied. 96. Subsection 96. Removal in relation to goods means A. Dispatch of goods for delivery by the supplier thereof or by any other person acting on behalf of such supplier. B. Collection of goods by the recipient thereof or by any other person acting on behalf of such recipient. Then subsection 98 defined reverse charge means the liability to pay tax by the recipient of supply of goods or services or both instead of the supplier of such goods or services or both under subsection 3, subsection 4 of section 9, subsection 3 or subsection 4 of section 5 of the IGST Act. Services means anything other than goods, money, and securities, but includes activities relating to the use of money or its conversion by cash or by any other mode from one form currency or denomination to another form currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged. And for the removal of doubt, it is hereby clarified that the expression services includes facilitating or arranging transactions in securities. Specified claim means the actionable claim involved in or by way of. Now we are talking of subsection 102 capital A. Specified actionable claim means the actionable claim involved in or by way of betting, casinos, gambling, horse racing, lottery, online money gaming. Subsection 105 defines supplier. In relation to any goods or services shall mean a person supplying the said goods or services or both, and shall include an agent acting as such on behalf of such supplier in relation to the goods or services supplied, provided that a person who organizes or arranges directly or indirectly supply of specified actionable claims, including a person who owns, operates, or manages digital or electronic platform for such supply, shall be deemed to be a supplier of such actionable claims, whether such actionable claims are supplied by him or through him, and whether consideration in money or money's worth, including virtual digital assets, for supply of such actionable claims is paid or conveyed to him or through him or place at his disposal in any manner. And all the provisions of this act shall apply to such supplier of specified actionable claims as if he is the supplier liable to pay the tax in relation to supply of such actionable claims. Subsection 110. Telecommunication services means service of any description including electronic mail, voicemail, data services, audio text services, video text services, radio paging, and cellular mobile telephone services, which is made available to users by means of any transmission or reception of sign signals, writing, images, and sounds or intelligence of any nature by wire, radio, visual, or other electromagnetic means. Subsection 112. Turnover in state or turnover in UT means the aggregate value of all taxable supplies, excluding the value of inward supplies on which tax is payable by a person on reverse charge basis, and exempt supplies made within a state or UT by a taxable person, export of goods or services or both, and interstate supplies of goods or services or both made from the state or UT by the said taxable person, but exclude central tax, state tax, UT tax, integrated tax, and cess. Usual place of residence means subsection 113. In case of an individual, the place where he ordinarily resides. In other case, the place where the person is incorporated or otherwise legally constituted. Subsection 114. UT means the territory of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. B. Lakshadweeps. C. Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. D. Ladakh. E. Chandigarh. F. Other territory. Explanation. For the purposes of this act, each of the territories specified in subclauses A to F shall be considered to be a separate UT. 119. Subsection 119 defines works contract means a contract for building, construction, fabrication, completion, erection, installation, fitting out, improvement, modification, repair, maintenance, renovation, alteration, or commissioning of any immovable property wherein transfer of property in goods, whether as goods or in some other form, is involved in the execution of such contracts. Thank you, my dear. This is what is Section 2 of the CGST Act. Out of 120 subsections, about 50% of the subsections I have explained here, which were of more significance. Thank you very much.